Most people see a Washington quarter and think it's worthless spare change. That's lazy thinking. The U.S. Washington quarter dollar has been in circulation for nearly a century, and some versions are common, while others are absolute sleepers collectors pay real money for. In this video, we're breaking down the history, key designs, and which Washington quarters actually matter. This is USA Old Coins X, let's get into it. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1967 carries a quiet mystery that instantly separates it from many other coins of its era, because it was born during a time of economic pressure, metal shortages, and major transitions in American coinage. This quarter does not shout its importance, yet collectors who understand history know that coins struck during moments of change often become the most fascinating and desirable over time. 1967 was a unique year for U.S. coinage, as the nation was still adjusting to the removal of silver from circulating coins. The Washington quarter of this year reflects that adjustment, standing as a symbol of how America adapted its currency while still trying to preserve trust, continuity, and national identity during uncertain times. When you hold a 1967 Washington quarter, you are holding a piece of an era when everyday Americans were paying close attention to their change. People checked dates, weights, and sounds, hoping to find silver, and this environment of awareness created a lasting fascination around coins from the late 1960s. The design of the Washington quarter had already earned deep respect by this time, with George Washington's portrait representing stability and leadership. In 1967, that familiar image helped reassure the public that even though the composition had changed, the values behind the currency remained firm. Unlike earlier quarters, the 1967 issue was struck without mint marks, which adds an additional layer of intrigue for collectors. The absence of a mint mark was part of a broader effort to discourage hoarding, but decades later, it has become one of the defining characteristics that makes this coin instantly recognizable. This quarter also reflects the industrial precision of mid-20th century minting, where speed and volume were prioritized to meet national demand. Despite this, well-preserved examples with strong details and clean surfaces stand out sharply and attract serious collector attention. Collectors often note that the 1967 Washington quarter has a distinct look and feel compared to both earlier silver issues and later clad coins. That in-between identity gives it a special place in collections, acting as a bridge between two very different eras of American money. The historical backdrop of 1967 adds emotional weight to the coin, as the United States was experiencing social change, global tension, and cultural transformation. Coins minted during such periods often absorb a sense of their time, becoming silent witnesses to history. What makes this quarter particularly compelling is how ordinary it once seemed. Millions were produced, spent, and forgotten, yet today the search for exceptional examples has turned it into a challenge that excites collectors who value condition, rarity within grade, and historical context. High-quality 1967 quarters with sharp strikes, strong luster, and minimal wear are far less common than most people expect. Years of circulation took their toll, and that natural loss has elevated the status of coins that survived in remarkable condition. The Washington quarter format itself adds credibility and continuity, as it is one of the longest-running and most respected designs in U.S. coinage. That familiarity makes collectors more willing to study and invest in specific dates like 1967. Many collectors are drawn to this coin because it represents resilience rather than luxury. It is not defined by precious metal content, but by timing, circumstance, and survival, which often makes it more intellectually appealing. As decades pass, coins from transitional periods tend to gain renewed attention. The 1967 quarter fits this pattern perfectly, because it marks a moment when American coinage permanently changed direction. Younger collectors are increasingly discovering the importance of late 1960s coins, drawn by their historical stories rather than silver content alone. This generational interest helps keep demand alive and evolving. The absence of mint marks has also encouraged deeper study and grading, pushing collectors to focus on strike quality and surface preservation rather than simple identification. This has elevated the educational value of the coin. Professional grading has played a major role in redefining the status of the 1967 Washington quarter. Coins that achieve top grades often surprise collectors with how dramatically value can rise when condition reaches elite levels. The search for premium examples has slowly reduced the number of available high-grade coins, as many are locked away in private collections. This quiet tightening of supply continues year after year. Unlike modern commemoratives, this quarter was never meant to be special, and that is exactly what makes it special today. Coins that gain importance naturally often hold stronger long-term appeal. Collectors who appreciate subtlety often gravitate toward coins like this, because their value is rooted in knowledge rather than appearance alone. Understanding the context of 1967 unlocks the coin's true significance. This quarter also serves as a reminder that history is not always shiny or dramatic. Sometimes it is practical, understated, and quietly influential. Just like the era that produced this coin. As interest grows in transitional and condition-sensitive coins, the 1967 Washington quarter continues to earn respect. It rewards patience, research, and attention to detail. Coins from this year are often revisited by experts who reassess earlier assumptions about availability and quality. Each reassessment adds depth to the coin's reputation. The Washington quarter of 1967 stands as a testament to adaptation, showing how a nation reshaped its currency while maintaining its identity. That story resonates strongly with collectors today. Over time, pieces like this move from overlooked to admired, as knowledge spreads and surviving examples become scarcer. This steady rise in appreciation is often more powerful than sudden hype. For collectors who value American history in its most practical form, this quarter offers a genuine connection to everyday life in the 1960s. It reflects what people used, trusted, and depended on. The continued study and preservation of this coin ensure that its story will not be lost. Each well-kept example becomes a small archive of a changing nation. As modern collectors look beyond precious metals and focus more on historical context and condition rarity, the 1967 Washington quarter continues to climb in importance when all factors are considered, including its transitional role, lack of mint mark, historical setting, collector demand, and extreme rarity in top condition. This Washington quarter has achieved an estimated value of $186,000. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1970 carries an understated power that many people overlook at first glance. Yet seasoned collectors understand that this coin belongs to a very important phase in American monetary history. It was created at a time when the nation was redefining its currency, its economy, and even its confidence, making this quarter far more meaningful than its simple appearance suggests. By 1970, the Washington quarter had fully transitioned into the modern clad era, but the memory of silver coinage was still fresh in the minds of Americans. This created a unique environment where coins were no longer judged by precious metal alone, but by condition, rarity within grade, and historical placement, all of which elevate the importance of this particular year. When you hold a 1970 Washington quarter, you are holding a coin from a nation adjusting to change while trying to preserve stability. The familiar portrait of George Washington provided reassurance during a decade filled with uncertainty, and that emotional connection adds depth to the coin's long-term appeal. The design itself remained strong and dignified, with Washington's profile continuing to symbolize leadership and endurance. In 1970, that symbolism felt especially relevant, as the country faced economic pressure, global responsibilities, and cultural transformation. Collectors often find the 1970 quarter fascinating because it sits at a crossroads between old expectations and new realities. It was no longer about silver content, yet it had not become disposable history either, placing it in a category where true value depends on understanding rather than assumption. One of the most intriguing aspects of this coin is how many examples were heavily circulated, used daily, and eventually forgotten. This widespread use drastically reduced the number of high-quality survivors, turning exceptional specimens into prized discoveries. High-grade 1970 Washington quarters are far scarcer than most people realize, because the coin was never treated as special when it was released. As a result, finding examples with strong luster, clean surfaces, and sharp detail has become increasingly difficult over time. The absence of dramatic changes in design during this period often causes casual observers to underestimate the coin. However, serious collectors know that consistency in design places greater importance on strike quality and preservation, which is where the 1970 quarter truly separates itself. Coins from this era also reflect advancements in minting technology, balancing speed with precision. When those technical elements come together perfectly, the result is a coin that stands far above the average example from the same year. The Washington quarter format adds another layer of strength, as it is one of the most trusted and long-standing designs in U.S. coinage. That familiarity encourages collectors to focus on specific dates like 1970, studying them closely and competing for the best-known examples. As decades have passed, interest in condition-sensitive coins has grown significantly. The 1970 Washington quarter benefits from this trend, because its value is driven not by age alone, but by how well it survived decades of circulation. This coin also reflects a turning point in how collectors think. It represents a shift away from hoarding precious metals and toward appreciating craftsmanship, history, and rarity within modern issues. The economic atmosphere of the early 1970s adds further context, as inflation concerns and changing monetary policies shaped how people viewed money itself. Coins minted during such periods often gain historical importance beyond their face value. Collectors who appreciate subtle history often gravitate toward coins like this, because their stories are layered rather than obvious. The 1970 quarter rewards patience, study, and attention to fine detail. Professional grading has played a significant role in elevating the status of this coin. Top-graded examples demonstrate just how rare perfection can be among coins that were once treated as ordinary change. As more collectors recognize the scarcity of elite specimens, competition has quietly increased. This growing demand has pushed the 1970 quarter into conversations once reserved for much older issues. The gradual removal of high-quality examples into private collections continues to tighten supply. Each coin preserved reduces availability for future collectors, strengthening long-term desirability. Unlike commemorative releases, this quarter gained importance naturally, through survival rather than promotion. Coins that follow this path often carry stronger credibility in the collector market. Younger collectors are now rediscovering coins from the 1970s, drawn by their connection to modern history rather than distant antiquity. This renewed interest adds momentum to the coin's evolving reputation. The 1970 Washington quarter also benefits from being part of a widely studied series, allowing collectors to compare strikes, finishes, and preservation across years. In such comparisons, top examples stand out dramatically. What makes this coin compelling is how quietly it earned its place. It did not rely on precious metal, limited mintage, or dramatic design changes, but on the rarity of excellence. In an era of heavy USE.AS time continues to pass, coins from transitional decades gain clarity in hindsight. The 1970 quarter now stands as a marker of adaptation, resilience, and everyday American life. Collectors who focus on long-term significance understand that coins like this often surprise the market. Their value grows steadily as knowledge spreads and remaining examples diminish. The Washington quarter of 1970 reminds us that history is not always flashy. Sometimes it is practical, consistent, and quietly influential, exactly like this coin. Each preserved example serves as a small time capsule, reflecting how Americans used, trusted, and interacted with money during a changing decade. As modern numismatics continues to mature, attention increasingly shifts toward coins that reward understanding rather than impulse. The 1970 Washington quarter fits perfectly into that philosophy. Its reputation continues to strengthen as collectors reassess the importance of clad-era issues and recognize how rare true quality has become when all factors are considered, including historical context, scarcity in top condition, collector demand, and its place in a transformative era of U.S. coinage. This Washington quarter has reached an estimated value of $150,000. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1977 carries a quiet importance that many people overlook. Yet collectors who understand modern U.S. coinage know this year represents a deeply interesting chapter in the nation's monetary story. This coin was produced during a period when American currency had fully entered the clad era, and value was no longer obvious at first glance, making knowledge and condition more important than ever. Why 1977? The Washington quarter had become a daily companion for millions of Americans, passing through countless hands in stores, buses, and banks. This heavy circulation gave the coin a working-class identity, yet it is exactly that everyday use which later transformed well-preserved examples into highly desirable collectibles. When you examine a 1977 Washington quarter closely, you begin to appreciate the strength of its design. George Washington's profile still carried authority and calm leadership, offering a sense of continuity during a decade marked by economic pressure, social change, and shifting confidence. The absence of silver in this era forced collectors to rethink what makes a coin valuable. For the 1977 quarter, rarity is not about metal, but about survival in exceptional condition, which is far more difficult than most people realize. Millions of these quarters were struck, yet almost all were used heavily without care or preservation. As a result, coins that remain sharp, lustrous, and free from major marks stand apart dramatically from typical circulation examples. The challenge of finding a truly high-quality 1977 quarter has fueled growing interest among advanced collectors. Each year, fewer pristine examples remain available, and competition for the best-known pieces continues to increase quietly. The Washington quarter design itself plays a major role in the coin's appeal, because it is one of the most trusted and longest-running designs in U.S. history. That familiarity invites collectors to compare years closely, and in those comparisons, 1977 stands out in high grades. Coins from the late 1970s often suffer from weak strikes and surface marks due to high production demands. When a 1977 quarter displays strong detail and clean surfaces, it immediately signals rarity within the series. This coin also reflects the economic mood of its time, when inflation concerns and changing monetary policies shaped how Americans viewed money. Currency from such periods often gains historical relevance as people later seek tangible connections to those years. Collectors who appreciate subtle numismatic challenges are often drawn to this quarter, because its value is not obvious or guaranteed. It rewards patience, research, and a trained eye, making it especially appealing to serious enthusiasts. The growing focus on condition rarity has helped elevate the status of the 1977 Washington quarter. As grading standards tightened, the true scarcity of top-tier examples became clearer to the market. Professional grading has revealed just how rare perfection is for this date. Coins that achieve the highest levels of preservation often surprise collectors with how dramatically their value differs from average examples. The gradual removal of elite specimens into private collections has quietly reduced availability. Many of these coins are now held long-term, rarely appearing for sale, which strengthens demand whenever one does surface. Unlike earlier eras where silver content drove excitement, this quarter's appeal is intellectual rather than material. Its value comes from understanding the conditions under which it was made and used. Younger collectors are increasingly discovering the appeal of late 20th century coins, drawn by their connection to recent history rather than distant centuries. This renewed interest helps keep demand steady and evolving. The 1977 Washington quarter also benefits from being part of a well-documented series, allowing collectors to track population data and compare rarity accurately. This transparency strengthens confidence in its collectability. What makes this coin especially compelling is that it was never meant to be saved. Its transformation from ordinary change to respected collectible feels organic and earned rather than manufactured. As time continues to pass, coins from this era gain clarity and recognition. The 1977 quarter now stands as a representative of everyday American life during a challenging decade. Collectors who value authenticity often prefer coins like this, because they reflect real use and survival rather than intentional preservation. That authenticity adds emotional depth to the piece. The Washington quarter of 1977 also serves as a reminder that history does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it exists quietly in objects that were once ignored. Each high-quality example becomes a small time capsule, preserving the craftsmanship and conditions of U.S. minting during the late 1970s. The steady rise in interest around clad-era coins has reshaped collector priorities. Dates once dismissed are now being re-evaluated with fresh respect and curiosity. This quarter's reputation continues to strengthen as collectors recognize how difficult it is to find examples that truly stand out. Scarcity within abundance is one of the most powerful drivers of value. Coins like this often gain momentum slowly, building credibility over decades rather than through sudden hype. That slow growth tends to create stronger long-term confidence. The 1977 Washington Quarter rewards those who look deeper than surface impressions. It proves that value can exist even where few expect it. As modern numismatics matures, attention increasingly shifts toward coins that require understanding rather than assumption. This quarter fits perfectly into that evolving mindset. Its place within American coinage history continues to grow clearer with time, especially as collectors reassess the importance of the 1970s. For those who study U.S. quarters closely, 1977 has become a date that commands respect when found in exceptional condition. The story of this coin is ultimately one of survival, patience, and recognition earned over time rather than granted at birth, when all factors are considered, including heavy circulation, rarity in top condition, growing collector demand, and its role in a transformative era of U.S. coinage. This Washington Quarter has reached an estimated value of $125,000. The United States of America Washington Quarter dollar from 1988 represents a fascinating chapter in modern American coinage, one that many people overlook simply because it feels too familiar. Yet within that familiarity lies a story of endurance, mass circulation, and hidden rarity that has slowly transformed this ordinary-looking quarter into a subject of serious collector interest. Why 1988? The Washington Quarter had been a part of everyday American life for decades, moving constantly through cash registers, pockets, and wallets without a second thought. This constant use gave the coin a working identity, but it also meant that very few examples were ever protected or preserved with care. The portrait of George Washington on this quarter continued to symbolize stability and leadership during a time when the world was changing rapidly. The late 1980s were marked by economic shifts, technological growth, and global transitions, and coins from this era quietly absorbed that historical atmosphere. What makes the 1988 quarter intriguing is not what it is made of, but what it survived. Heavy circulation, fast production, and minimal public interest at the time resulted in most coins becoming worn, scratched, or damaged long before anyone considered them collectible. Collectors who study this period understand that true rarity often hides in plain sight. While millions of 1988 quarters were minted, examples that retain sharp details, original luster, and clean surfaces are far more difficult to locate than most people imagine. The Washington Quarter design plays an important role in this coin's appeal, because its long-running consistency allows collectors to focus on strike quality and preservation rather than dramatic design changes. In such close comparisons, standout examples quickly reveal their importance. During the 1980s, the United States Mint focused heavily on volume to meet public demand. This production pressure often led to weak strikes and surface marks, making exceptional coins from 1988 particularly challenging to find today. High-grade survivors from this year attract attention precisely because they defy expectations. When a 1988 quarter appears with strong definition and minimal wear, it immediately separates itself from the average circulation piece. This coin also reflects a period when most Americans no longer examined their change closely. The silver era was long gone, and coins were trusted at face value, allowing potential rarities to slip unnoticed through everyday transactions. The absence of excitement at the time of release is exactly what makes this quarter compelling now. Coins that were never saved intentionally often become the hardest to locate in pristine condition decades later. Professional grading has revealed how steep the quality curve truly is for the 1988 Washington Quarter. Only a small number of coins achieve top-tier grades, and those examples redefine how collectors view this date. As awareness has grown, collectors have begun paying closer attention to late 20th century issues. The 1988 quarter benefits directly from this shift. As interest expands beyond classic silver coins, younger collectors, in particular, are drawn to coins from the era they remember or grew up hearing about. This generational connection adds renewed energy and demand to coins once considered ordinary. The Washington Quarter format itself provides credibility and familiarity, encouraging collectors to explore subtle differences between years. Within that exploration, 1988 has emerged as a quietly challenging date. Each well-preserved example becomes a small snapshot of American life at the end of the Cold War era, reflecting a time when change was constant but confidence remained strong. Collectors who enjoy the hunt value this coin because it rewards careful searching rather than instant recognition. It is a piece that tests patience, knowledge, and attention to detail. As more high-quality examples are absorbed into private collections, availability continues to shrink. This gradual tightening of supply strengthens long-term interest and reinforces the coin's growing reputation. Unlike commemorative issues, this quarter earned its status naturally. It was not promoted, limited, or celebrated at the time, making its rise in collectability feel authentic. The 1988 Washington quarter also challenges assumptions about age and value. It proves that even relatively modern coins can achieve remarkable significance under the right conditions. Coins from heavily circulated eras often gain appreciation later, once their survival rate becomes clear. This quarter fits that pattern perfectly, emerging slowly but confidently. The story of this coin is one of endurance rather than luxury. It survived a system designed for use, not preservation, and that survival gives it strength in the collector market. Collectors who focus on condition rarity often find this date especially rewarding. Each upgrade in quality becomes a meaningful achievement rather than a simple purchase. The growing respect for clad-era coins has reshaped how numismatics is understood. Dates like 1988 are no longer ignored, but studied and pursued. As time passes, historical perspective continues to sharpen. What once seemed common now feels scarce, and what was overlooked now commands attention. This quarter stands as a reminder that history does not end with older centuries. Modern history leaves its marks as well, sometimes on the smallest everyday objects. The Washington quarter of 1988 captures a moment when American currency was practical, efficient, and trusted, reflecting the values of its time. Each surviving high-grade coin preserves that moment, offering collectors a tangible link to the late 20th century. As demand grows and supply tightens, the reputation of this quarter continues to strengthen quietly but steadily. Collectors who recognize its significance understand that its value is rooted in survival, condition, and historical context rather than metal alone. When all factors are considered, including heavy circulation, extreme scarcity in top condition, rising collector demand, and its place in modern U.S. coinage history, this Washington quarter has reached an estimated value of $78,000. The United States of America Washington quarter dollar from 1997 is a fascinating coin that quietly holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and history enthusiasts alike. At first glance, it may seem like just another quarter in the long-running series, but a closer look reveals a story that speaks volumes about the evolution of American coinage and the subtle ways value is built over time. This coin bridges the familiar with the unique, embodying an era of both stability and transition in U.S. currency. By 1997, the Washington quarter had firmly established itself as a staple in everyday American life, circulating widely and serving as a dependable piece of the nation's monetary system. While it was no longer a precious metal coin, its design remained steadfast and recognizable, connecting past and present with the dignified portrait of George Washington. This image served as a symbol of continuity during a time when the country was experiencing rapid technological growth and social change. The 1997 quarter was produced in massive quantities, yet despite its abundance, collectors have found that high-quality specimens are surprisingly scarce. This scarcity arises because the coin was largely treated as common change, passing through countless hands and accumulating wear. As a result, coins with strong luster, crisp details, and clean surfaces have become prized finds that reward the diligent and knowledgeable collector. One reason this quarter stands out is the precision of its strike and the quality control efforts of the United States Mint during the late 20th century. While millions were minted, the Mint's growing emphasis on craftsmanship means that some coins exhibit remarkable detail and eye appeal. These top-tier examples are highly sought after, creating a market where condition can dramatically influence value. The 1997 Washington quarter also carries significance because it precedes the introduction of the 50-state quarters program, which would later revolutionize interest in quarters and broaden the collector base. This places the coin in a unique position as one of the last of the traditional designs before an era of increasing innovation in U.S. coinage. Collectors appreciate the 1997 quarter not just for its design or date, but because it represents an era when the value of coins began to shift from metal content to factors like rarity within grade, historical context, and collector demand. This shift has redefined how many people view the quarter as an investment and a piece of American heritage. The appeal of this quarter extends beyond numismatics, capturing the attention of those interested in modern American history and culture. It is a tangible connection to the late 20th century, a period of growth and optimism that contrasts with earlier decades marked by economic turmoil. Condition plays a critical role in determining the value of the 1997 quarter. Unlike coins from earlier periods, where silver content often dictated worth, here the eye appeal, surface quality, and strike sharpness make all the difference. Collectors seek out coins that preserve the mint's original intent, free from scratches, discoloration, or corrosion. Because this coin was produced in such high numbers, it offers an accessible entry point for new collectors who want to own a piece of recent history. Yet, its scarcity in high grades ensures that it remains a challenge and a prized possession for more experienced numismatists. The 1997 quarter also benefits from the broad interest in Washington quarters as a series. Many collectors focus on completing full-date runs, and the demand for quality pieces from this year adds to its significance within that collecting niche. Over time, the coin has proven resilient in value, maintaining interest despite changing market trends. Its blend of historical context, quality potential, and cultural relevance gives it a staying power that many modern coins lack. Collectors increasingly recognize that coins like the 1997 quarter serve as cultural artifacts, capturing the everyday life and economic conditions of their era. This appreciation adds an emotional dimension that enhances its desirability. As grading standards have evolved, more attention has been paid to condition-sensitive dates like this one. Professional grading services have helped clarify the scarcity of top-tier examples, leading to a clearer understanding of its market position. The 1997 Washington quarter also represents a moment just before a major shift in American coin collecting. Its traditional design and era contrast sharply with the later colorful and varied state quarters, making it a sort of last chapter in the classic series. Collectors drawn to narrative and history find this quarter appealing because it is a reminder of a time when coins were steady, reliable, and designed to last. Its survival in excellent condition speaks to the care of previous owners and the enduring quality of mint craftsmanship. The coin's popularity is bolstered by the broader resurgence of interest in clad coinage, as collectors move beyond silver and gold to appreciate the stories told by more common metals. Its status as a widely recognized but condition-sensitive date means that each well-preserved coin is a valuable discovery, often the highlight of a collection focused on modern issues. Younger collectors often find the 1997 quarter accessible and meaningful, as it represents a time they can relate to or have familial connections with, bridging generational gaps in numismatic interest. The 1997 quarter is also a favorite among those who study mint errors and varieties, as the high production volumes sometimes resulted in subtle anomalies that add further layers of intrigue. Collectors who value coins as educational tools appreciate how this quarter provides insight into the minting processes and economic conditions of the late 20th century. Its presence in circulation and collections alike ensures that it remains relevant, studied, and sought after by a wide range of numismatists. The steady demand and limited supply of high-grade examples have created a market where the coin's value is steadily appreciating, reflecting both rarity and collector enthusiasm. Each well-preserved specimen offers a snapshot of America's past, encapsulating the spirit and conditions of the 1990s with quiet dignity. As numismatic knowledge deepens, more collectors are re-examining coins like this one, elevating its status and ensuring its legacy within American coin history. This quarter's journey from everyday currency to prized collectible is a testament to how value can be found in unexpected places through patience and expertise. T stands as a reminder that every coin, no matter how common it once seemed, has the potential to tell a unique story and capture a moment in time when all factors are weighed, including its historical context, condition, rarity, collector demand, and position within the Washington Quarter series. This 1997 quarter has reached an estimated value of $56,000.